Hey everybody, in this video we are going to go over coterminal angles using degrees and with radians. The directions are to find one positive and one negative coterminal angle. First of all, you should know what is a coterminal angle. So the main part of the word that we want to focus on at first is terminal. Terminal has to do with where the angle will terminate. That means you have to know how to draw an angle in standard position. You have to understand that it doesn't just matter which quadrant it lands in, but specifically exactly precisely where that angle terminates. We can be precise by indicating a reference angle. And the reference angle, again, is the angle measured between the terminal side and the closest x-axis. It's always positive, always acute. From there, if you continue to rotate your terminal side in either direction, either counterclockwise, which is the positive direction, or clockwise, which is the negative direction, you will find other angles that land in precisely that location. When the angle is in degrees, that means that it's going to be plus or minus some multiple of 360 degrees. So plus or minus 360 degrees. I really don't need the plus or the minus. I could just put plus for the next thing I'm going to write down. Sorry, is that focused? Which is n is an element in the set of integers. So really, what does that mean? It means you're adding, that doesn't say inches or anything. I feel like it looks funny. That doesn't mean you're adding, it means you could add 360 or 360 times 2 or 360 times 3 or 360 times negative 4, 360 times negative 5. So you could add or subtract any amount of 360s and you will land in the exact same location, okay? And when it comes to finding coterminal radian angles, well, again, because an integer can be negative, the plus minus isn't necessary. It just helps people wrap their head around the concept. That's why I put it there. And here using radians, plus or minus 2 pi n, comma, where n is an element in the set of integers, same thing. And keep in mind, aka plus or minus 2 pi I need to pick a letter B. I'm going to use lowercase b over b n, comma, n is an element in the set of integers, and b is the lowest common denominator. So in this case, B for bottom. I didn't want to use D for denominator because D is diameter. We're talking about circles and, you know. But in this case, B would be 15. So when you're adding fractions, you don't just use 2 pi. You need a common denominator. So let's get started. So one of the coterminal, also call it sub C1. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. If I did 370 plus 360, I'm like, oh, I want to get a positive. That gets you 730 degrees. And that would be fine. Like your whatever you want to call it. You want to call it positive, fine. That's true. There's a positive coterminal angle. You could add 360 again. So 1090, whatever. But we're good. Next. Don't go back and subtract 360 from 730. What are you doing, my friend? You're going to get 370. You're going to get back to where you started. So if I want to get my second coterminal angle, my negative, I have to go back. I just sneeze. What am I? If I subtract 360 and I try to be like, oh, okay, here you go, my negative coterminal angle, it's 10 degrees, but that's not negative. You can't just stick a negative in front of it. It's not the same thing. That's just silly. So what do I do now? We're not there yet. Just subtract again. That's actually another positive, right? So we're not there yet. Subtract again. Now, hello, negative 350 degrees. And there you go. Okay? So don't think, oh, add and subtract always easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's just not the case. There are infinite number of possible answers. You know, just keep it simple. Don't make it crazy. Here, what is 2 pi with the denominator of 15? If I multiply this, which is over 1 on top and bottom by 15, like this, we get 30 pi over 15. So what does that tell me? Well, this is currently between 0 and 2 pi. If I subtract 30 pi, I'm going to get a negative. If I add, I'm going to get a positive. So this one's pretty cut and dry. So I'll just say positive equals, well, I barely even have to write it, but let's write it. I think you guys can all do this basically in your head. So our positive coterminal, 38 pi over 15. If your given angle didn't reduce or simplify, but then suddenly after you add 2 pi to it, it simplifies, you messed up. Because if it didn't simplify in the beginning, it still shouldn't simplify. If it can simplify in the beginning and you just don't do it, then you should still be able to simplify later. Okay? Okay. So there's your positive 38 pi over 15. Again, go back to where you started. So now we're going to find our negative one. So it's 8 pi over 15. You go back to where you started. Minus 30 pi over 15. It matters which order you subtract in. So you went to an angle, right? 8 pi over 15. Let's scooch this paper up. So 8 pi over 15 is somewhere up there, okay? And you're like, oh, let's add a full loop to it. Or you went there and then it said, oh, let's take off a full loop from it. In the case that you took off the full loop, the negative coterminal angle, you really end up just describing that right there. And in the case that you add a full loop to it, I'm barely fitting this. You went there and you added all the way around again. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. So there's your positive. And then for our negative, that would be, am I still on the screen? Yes. Negative 22 pi over 15. And there you go. Hopefully that made sense. Let's do a little color coding on this. I'll draw you a little picture with some colors before we call it a day. Okay. So my angle is 370 to begin with. 370 is just a smidge past 360. My drawing's a bit dramatic. Negative 350 is that one right there. Okay, lands in the same place. And positive 730. One time around. Second time around. A little squished, but use your imagination, folks. Okay? Best I can do right now. That's it. All right? That's your little mini video lesson on coterminal angles using degrees, using radians, what the gist of it is. Hope you feel like a genius. Hope you are a genius. Hope you are becoming more genius. Thumbs up if you're happy. Thumbs down if you're not. There it is. And choose one of the thumbnails for another video lesson in math. Bye.